believes that you and I together can shore up the breakdown in intellectual activity in the United States by rearranging the collective synapse into more cortically effective cognitive patterns.
And turn down your radios.
Yeah. Take that, Steve Allen, and all you people. And ladies and gentlemen, here he is, Laird Brooks Schmidt. Thank you, Laird, and thank you for turning me on. I hope you'll keep me on so that together we can turn each other on to some fun and laughs with words. That's the whole idea, folks. The motto of the show is be serious at your own risk. We're trying to expand the use of words. In fact, we're talking about the language of existence. It's not difficult. You're here, you exist, but we're going to have a little fun today. And remember, one of the other things about the show, what did I say? It may be salubrious to your hubris. Huh? You know where your hubris is. Well, don't fool around now. But anyway, later on, I'll tell you about that. Mark Bates is on the camera. Oh, boy, why don't we get the good-looking people here in the set? You ought to see what we got. We got Jane Strobus. We'll show you her later, but not early in the show because then you expect the wrong thing. I keep looking over there because we have somebody there. Res ipsa loquitur means the thing speaks for itself, and I want to remind you that we're looking for the absolute reality. Now, don't sit there and say, I don't know about absolute reality. I don't know. Don't talk big to me. Shut up. And you listen to me. Because you can talk about the absolute reality. It simply means that we can somehow record everybody in the world's thoughts. Like that, we will have the absolute reality. Are you ever going to know what happened over there? What is that over there, huh? You'll never know. Okay. And then let that be a lesson to you, too. Because the reality occurs in your brain. That's what Hume said, and that's what I say. A lot of guys. You know Hume, don't you? The ex-Hume him. Oh, a dead ringer for Leo Tolstoy. That's what's Hume. Anyway, the idea is absolute reality. When I say res ipsa loquitur, that means you keep looking at all the things.
Berkeley said no matter, and Hume said never mind.
Who said never mind?
I think it was Hume.
Did he say never mind?
He said there wasn't a mind either.
No, he said everything was in your mind and you will never know the outside reality, but we now can. How can we do it? We have two-way TV, two-way radio, and someday we will get what's on everybody's mind at the same time, and we'll have a produced total reality. Now, that'll be much easier after they drop the bomb because there'll only be about 50 people around with anything to do. I don't know how McDonald's will open on a day with only 50 people. They'll probably close down McDonald's after the war, huh? I don't think there'll be a war anyway. But the other thing we told you was whatever that we hope this show may be, we did that. We did that. But we hope that, Mark's having fun. Yes. We hope that you'll understand that people programming television and radio, that's how we get the absolute reality. You come on here. You listen to the Dick Pomerantz show. You listen to all these shows that they call it. It's marvelous. We hear what's happening with you, and we hope you'll come on here and be what? Look at that. An audience auditor. Just sit there and say, oh, for heaven's sake, or say something on your own, whatever comes to your mind. You come down and be with us on the show. It doesn't cost you a thing. Well, a little bit. How much do we charge to get in here? Glenn Flecky is on the master console. That Glenn can make the images jump up and down and do things. You know, I'm not really here. I forgot that. You ought to see what I'm like in person. Huh? Next time I'll be here in person. I'm at home. And Flecky fix it up somehow with his Coca-Cola. And why don't you shout like Roger does on Hines and Berglund, huh? There's a good show, folks. Don't talk about that competition. You didn't hear that. Now, but whatever you do, and now we want the camera to stay on me, Glenn. Surreal when you say that.
You have been listening to KPFK, listener-sponsored radio in
No, just
KPFK, and we were supposed to get people to subscribe.
yeah, rec.
Or
Record.
it's recording something on it. Do you guys remember how to steady the vertical? So I want to go past you, past you.
Keeping the station on the air. And one guy that was there had a procedure where he would say, listen, you are listening and you are not subscribing. You are what's known as a poacher, and that sort of thing. He was using every form of guilt bag to keep people, to cause people to subscribe.
Give us a little more of the routine, how you...
You have been He would say that you are a poacher. You are someone who does not subscribe, therefore turn off the radio. Do not listen. That sort of thing. He used a guilt bag approach. And
Yeah.
I said, well, let me write some of this continuity. I said, I think I can cheer it up and I think I can get more subscriptions. So I said, let's keep a record of the number of people who call in for folios. These were free samples, or a number of people who subscribe. And so I had about 15 or 20 cheery subscription announcements saying, you know, we had light stuff. We had Fred Allen and people like that come in. And
Can you remember any typical Fred Allen lines? You remember Fred Allen.
let me think. He once said that he used so many big words talking with black people that they blew cold sores off their lips in response.
Cold sores? I didn't know Fred Allen. You're thinking... That must be someone else, the Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas author. What was his name? Willie Loman?
Hunter Thompson.
Hunter Thompson, yeah. Folks, I want to introduce you to Sherlock O'Toole.
I'm Sherlock.
And what?
I'm Sherlock. I say, I'm Sherlock.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm Sherlock.
Yeah, he's Sherlock. He was a child prodigy and genius and got worse, or got smarter.
I'm the sort of person who looks somehow as if I had mistakenly French kissed my dad.
Yeah, that's a, that's a good way of thinking about it. And so we thought it'd be very nice to have George start off on this kind of erudite and what sounds like difficult subject of the language of existence, because he knows a lot about everything. You'll notice quickly, oh, well, just let me tell you about something, George, and I'll ask you what he says about it. Here we have. What do you think about this, George? The brain, everything you take in your brain is really a facsimile, right? Because it goes into electromagnetic sources, and then it goes into chemical neurotransmitters into the brain, because nothing goes into your brain, obviously. So what you see has been screened by your own special cranial devices, whatever your microchips or your processes are. And so it's really a facsimile of the figural units, classes, relations, systems. In other words, I call it your own cookie cutter.
Yeah?
Did we do this once before already?
I have no idea.
All right. You see what I tell you? Huh? Didn't I tell you, George, come right up with something there? Sure. You're darn right. I wore this today because I was supposed to go out with a limousine this morning at, they called me up at 11, so they got me in St. Paul 11:30 and pick up a passenger. But I want to talk, and then, whoop, how did this work? That way. So I hurry, put on my limousine clothes, see? And Mark Bates says, what? No black turtleneck? Well, we got this, right? Okay. But first, before we go on with the language of existence, I'm going to talk about something that exists last week. Of course, you may be watching Tuesday at 4:30, Wednesday at 9, or Saturday at 5. We have those 3 times. 3 chances to get a hold of this show. Or CBS Sports. What are some of those things they do on CBS Sports? What do they call them? The celebrity sports and... Anyway, we'll talk a little bit about the winds of war.
Sounds like a chili eating contest.
A chili eating contest. That's about what it is. In fact, you must have read my mind there, because I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna get into my smooth folder. Look at this, huh? It says right on there. No, this is the rough copy. Over here we have a copy of the flatulent level of beans. Now I'm going to have to work that into something here first. I have to go into
You didn't let me finish my story about the radio station.
Oh.
My radio station experience bears me in good stead in any job I have.
Have you ever wondered what a radio announcer looked like?
Yes.
Huh?
This is the way we sound. And a little later, somebody say, hey, turn off that stupid pot. Then he'll go back to this when he's on radio. But anyway, we had these spots, trying to get people to subscribe to the station.
Yeah.
And this guy with his fascist spots, and me, we compared as to who would get the more subscribers. And he won 10-1. Mine were easygoing, lighthearted stuff. There was a certain guilt bag that he managed to plumb in these kinds of commercials. So I guess KSJN should use those kind too. Saying, you are listening, but you're not subscribing.
No, they went.
Screw you, or something like that. And they'd get more results than they would with their easygoing approach. There's plumb the guilt bag.
Guilt bag.
A liberal is a person, for instance, who won't kill you unless it means his job.
You understand that, Jane? Explain that.
A liberal is a person who won't kill you unless it means his job.
I didn't get that the first time you told me on the way up here.
I see. Well, you'll learn.
Well, that'll be the question for today, folks. What does that mean?
Look at the number of people Hitler was able to recruit, you know, among the people at
oh, you mean the liberals become fascists if he gets a job?
Read the book, The True Believer.
I read it. Eric Hoffman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric Hoffer.
Eric Hoffer. Yeah. Thank you, Jane.
You can turn any kind of ardor into anything you want it to be, into fascism, into communism, into nudism, into socialism.
I was a nudist once.
Presbyterianism, into Unitarianism, into Judaism, into anti-Judaism, anti all the things I just said. You can turn it into any one of those things. All you have to do is take this ardor and flip it a little bit and make the person...
Are you saying ardor or order?
Order.
Order.
Ardor becomes order.
Yeah.
All you have to do is say, hey, I can make you happier by flipping your ardor, and you can flip it over into anything. The William James analogy of the woman sitting, she's sitting watching a melodrama with a greasy mustached man. He's taking the woman off because her father can't pay the mortgage on the house.
He told me when we came on, he couldn't think of a thing to say.
And this dowager woman is sitting there watching this stuff and crying her eyes out. This thing where the melodrama is taking place and the greasy mustachioed villain is taking off the beautiful woman.
Yeah.
She's crying her eyes out at the injustice of this, and her coachman, her coachman who has brought her to the theater to see this, is freezing outside, waiting to take her home. This is what I mean.
Coachman,
the guy that brought her there.
The coachman.
He's waiting outside, freezing to death.
He's freezing. Yeah.
And she doesn't realize the incongruity of this because she's seeing this pure, unalloyed injustice on the stage, and she's weeping her tears for that. She doesn't have any left to take care of the coachman. This is what I mean by the liberal, who the liberal who will not kill you unless it means his job.
And that's why they fired you from the public radio station out there?
Bukowski says something about that.
Bukowski.
Yeah.
We're going to show you, thanks, because we told George we were going to talk about the language of existence. That's some of George's language about existence, and I appreciated that. I want to come back to that question about the liberal. Is anybody...
Somebody who won't kill you unless it means his job.
He will kill you if you're going to take a job. Okay. Here, can you get a picture of this? I don't know. We're going to talk about the winds of war because it just went off the air. Or is it still running?
Still running.
No, this is Tuesday night.
Oh, well, then
at 4:30. They may have had to do it a couple extra days, huh? They could go away forever, as far as I'm concerned. It didn't make any difference. We were playing Parcheesi all the time. These are the flatulence levels of beans numbered. The highest level of flatulence is the soybean, and then the 9th level is pink, and the lowest level is 1. See, because I was trying to figure, you can keep the camera on there, because I was trying to figure why they call it the winds of war. And because the script was so long-winded? Or did it have something to do with flatulence? You're all familiar with flatulence, are you not? I can't go into that. If you eat these beans, you have flatulence. It's a nice euphemism. Mark uses it quite often. You know,
what is this now?
Much to do today, huh?
Does #1 black-eyed peas, does that mean that the black-eyed peas are #1 in their flatulence index? The lowest?
The lowest.
And soybeans are the highest?
Very high.
Flatulence-wise.
Yeah. Well, actually, barley is the worst. Don't ever eat barley. Don't even, barley would be off the chart. Up number 48. On the movie, now on my movie rating chart, from 1, least flatulent, black-eyed peas, to 10, most flatulent, that's the soybean there. This picture gets a 10. And why was Robert Mitchum so wooden? Why didn't the winds of war at least rustle his leaves? I'm rewriting this for I have I have a little newsletter. If you'd like to get one, folks, I'll show you a picture of it, because it has everything that I say here kind of boiled down to about 3 minutes. Here's smooth copies. Look at it. Here's the last one. I might read you the last one. And now, let's see. Yeah. Look at that. It's a newsletter. It has everything I do in the show boiled down to 1 page. I'll read you some of that. This is number 3. Number 4 is the one I'm doing about the winds of war. How would you solve the Social Security problem? Put those over 65 on Indian reservations and install James Watt as their leader.
Sounds cogent.
He has the land for the project in case new reservations are needed. He's the head of the Bureau of Indian Affairs and really knows his P's and Q's about NAs. And we'll all become Native Americans for the first time.
Take an Indian to lunch.
Yes. P.S. If you have a fire in your home on the reservation, call the Bureau of Indian Affairs. It's a wet blanket. You can get one of your right to it right here at this station, which is 350 63rd Avenue Northeast. Just Channel 12, 350 63rd.
You'll call 315 60th Avenue Northeast
What?
for a free. Is that it?
Could we? You can be a character generator when I
For
say
a free-
address. Oh, let's do it. But
315 60th Avenue Northeast.
350
350 60th
63rd.
Avenue. 63rd Avenue?
Southeast.
I can't get these
Northeast.
things straight right away.
And the zip is the same as Bloomington, only with one more, 55432.
Use the zip code 55432.
Okay, now we have a standard announcer, and that'll be George for a while here. Okay, also I was wondering how come Robert Mitchum was so wooden. I don't mind Rudy Perpich is wooden because he's the
Or
head
Johnny
of...
Wooden.
Huh?
Or Johnny Wooden, the coach of the UCLA Bruin
Yeah,
basketball
and
team.
Rudy Botchwitz, of course, is the head of Plywood America, so you'd expect him to be a little wooden.
Yes.
I had to, somebody's scripted here. Mitchum's always been so dapper. I never thought of him as particularly taciturn or moody. Remember those great vaudeville teams? Have you got any of those games?
In the Rolling
We want
Stone-
you to, yeah.
In the Rolling Stone, they describe his eyelids as looking like the sort of blinds that you see in a cheap flop house.
Robert Mitchum?
And it describes him as always carrying around a bottle of tequila in order to have tequila sunrises at all times. A tequila sunrise for him is to take 3 or 4 sips of tequila and 1 sip of grenadine and alternate that throughout the day.
I swear, in that picture, he must have been saving most of the tequila for on the set, don't you think?
He looks fairly plastered.
I noticed the scenes with the boy. He was fairly upright.
Yeah, he doesn't do too bad with a boy.
But the trouble was, he had these lines like they took his lines off some memorial plaque or like it was from a history book. It was terrible, but he was Mr. United States.
It's a strange book. It's as if Irving Stone was trying to rewrite Tolstoy.
Well, give me a sample of that.
No, it's sort of pedestrian prose. He manages to give you a sort of a panoramic view of the stuff that went on, but
I think he did good at that.
yeah, but it doesn't have a hell of a lot of inspiration in it.
Well, Roosevelt got up and walked at one point.
Well, that's
I do
not
my
bad.
impersonation of Roosevelt, but I can't fall off this chair. But
I can give you an imitation of Douglas MacArthur having an orgasm. I do that at parties occasionally.
yeah, at Fridley they don't have parties where they have that.
I see.
They have
I'll
they
never-
have a no, they have a drink out now. I take my bus customers came off the line Friday night, and one guy had a drink that's called the Screaming Orgasm.
Is that right?
It's a shot of amaretto, a shot of Irish cream, and a shot of vodka. We used to call those zombies.
Well, no, zombies.
I think that's the kind of drink it's just so smooth. They go down and sit and they glue you to the chair for about an hour. You can, hi, George.
Yeah. Zombie
Let me
is a
finish it.
rum-based drink.
How about Ally McGraw?
She's either too good for the part or not good enough. I can't figure it out. I have to watch her for another 6 hours in order to find out. She
Why
might be
did-
too good for the part. I'd like to see her in something else in order to see whether that's the way she normally acts. She acts as if everything she says is in individual quotation marks.
Well, she had all the explicatory things. She was supposed to explain the whole plot of the Jews being thrown into concentration camps, and I'm sure tonight, we're doing this Saturday afternoon on the 12th, but I'm sure tonight we're going to see him taken to the concentration camp because she's back in Rome. Why didn't the winds of war blow some life into Ally McGraw?
I think it did. I think, as I say, I think she's either too good or not good enough.
Don't repeat lines, George.
I
She
can't
could-
figure it out.
She could stand some resuscitation, mouth to mouth, back to back, or any which way but loose. These are lines from next week's PR letter, which you can get from writing to
You'll write to
Channel 12,
Channel 12. And what's the address again?
350.
315, 53rd,
350.
350.
Yeah.
I can't get these things straight. 350,
63rd
63rd
Northeast
Northeast
Avenue,
Avenue,
Fridley,
Fridley, Minnesota,
55.
55432.
And you can get a copy of the newsletter. Your name may be in it. We hope you're going to be with us. Wait a minute, I have some more. Not too much more.
I don't know what the brain damage is from, paresis or something. I just can't remember numbers.
Confucius say movie maxi series made for TV that passes wind in church sits in own pew. Oh, here are the wives coming in. Okay, George. Did you hear George on the way up saying that he couldn't think of anything? I'm talking to Joan O'Toole and Beverly Schmidt. And he said he couldn't think of a thing to say. My great study has been a veritable gold mine of authenticity. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the language of existence. What do you think of when you think of existence, George?
I think of brown rice.
Sure.
Somebody asked George Osawa, the famous brown rice specialist.
George who?
George Osawa, otherwise known as Sakurazawa no Yiti.
It was the Japanese?
They asked him what the, what the sound of one hand clapping was, or one of those kind of riddles.
Yeah.
And he said, chew your food well and you will see the eternal bliss on earth, or something like that. It sounded weird. But then I chewed my food that afternoon and I saw bliss. Hell, I gave it I chewed an onion 75 times and I cured a cancer that had been developing in my left breast.
Is that really true?
This is true. Would I lie? Do I look like the kind of man that would lie?
I don't know, but you're sure the kind of guy we'd like to have on the show. You're doing terrific. George and I figured, what the heck, some guys go out and play golf, some guys go to saloons, some guys mow the lawn all afternoon. Some guy came to our door today and dug out our driveway for $10. We figured we'd come up here and sit in Fridley and have some fun, huh?
The same.
Have you had fun so far, Mark? Mark has got to get a job. Let's get a picture. If we get a picture of our cameraman now, how about Mark there? This is Mark Bates. I think it's essential because he answers all the big questions that we ask him. Well, I'll ask Mark a big question. Watch this. Watch closely. I'll try to get a big question. This is on philosophy and religion. Here is a passage from a famous document which refers to a famous man. For 10 points, name 10 points. A little closer shot, but this is all right. Either the document or the man. He has sullied marriage, disparaged confession, and denied the body and blood of our Lord. He makes the sacraments depend on the faith of the recipient. I know who this is already. He is pagan in his denial of free will. This devil in the habit of a monk has brought together ancient errors into one stinking puddle and has invented new ones. Who is that?
Oscar Levant. He once said...
I knew that right away when they said...
He once said to his wife, you make the Shrike look like Blossom Time.
The Shrike look... Who the Shrike...
Levant just said that to his wife. He said, you make the Shrike look like Blossom Time. That's an insult, I think.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
What is the Shrike?
It's a movie about an extremely...
a lady who shrieks.
An extremely... migraine-inflicted woman.
Let's get a picture of Jane Strobus.
You make the Shrike look like Blossom
I'll read
Time.
this again, and here's the part that I know who it was right away. This is a famous man. He has sullied marriage, disparaged confession, and denied the body and blood of our Lord. He makes the sacraments depend on the faith of the recipient. On the faith. Everything was by faith. To heck with the rules of the church and the special treatments. What would they call the...
Die Empfindung? Entlösung?
He's very big in this town. You never heard this guy? This is terrible.
Die Endlösung. The final
He
solution.
said the church shouldn't give dispensations. Like Frank Sinatra wanted to get divorced, right? He gave the Pope $200,000 and 2 tickets to his next concert, and he got a divorce. Somehow got a divorce in the Catholic Church as a dispensation. And this guy said, no, it's all by faith. Who was that?
Martin Luther?
Martin Luther. Did we get a picture of Jane? Yeah. Okay, let's ask Jane a question. What do you like, history? What subject do you like?
My favorite insult is this.
I'm going to ask her history.
Gladstone and Disraeli or somebody like that. Somebody in the audience, by writing this number, should correct me.
Yeah.
But this guy says, you'll either die on the gallows or of a venereal disease. And the other guy says, that'll depend on whether I embrace your principles or your mistress.
Who said that?
Gladstone or Disraeli or somebody
Disraeli,
like that.
he talked, Robespierre talked like that.
That sounds like real bad mouth to me.
I think it speaks for itself, George.
Okay.
I want to find a question about the Crusades here, huh? Religion, that must be under religion. Okay. Here you are, Jane. This is a syllogism. You got a picture, Jane? I think the gain has to be cut down on the camera a little bit. This is a syllogism. All whales are mammals. No fish are mammals. Therefore, no fish are whales. For 10 points, according to formal logic. Which word? Get a pretty face in there. Come on. Look to what there. See? Which word in this syllogism is the middle term? Wait a minute. I'll ask you.
Well, that is the most boring quiz book I've ever heard in my life. That
let's get it. Here's
it doesn't have
one.
any pizzazz in it.
All right. How
Doesn't have
about
no
this one?
pizzazz, man. We got to have some
All
pizzazz
right.
here. How about this?
Here, she recorded "Baby Is Cold Outside" with Homer and Jethro.
Sounds like
Somebody's wife that's famous. Starts with J, and her last initial is C. She recorded "Baby Is Cold Outside" with Homer and Jethro, June.
let's see, June
C-A-R-T.
June Carter?
June Carter. Did you get that one, Jane?
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you. Listen, that was a whole thing about language of existence, and I think we covered it thoroughly, and I think you understand. The only question we have now is, George, while the music is playing, is the music playing? I hear something. I don't.
That don't mean nothing. You've been
I don't
hearing
mean
something
anything.
since you were born.
Give me a nice close-up shot like you gave George. Huh? Give me a good one. You see my good features. You see, get back away, and there. See that? Yeah. Okay, George is now going to explain to us, while I'm listening, in his radio voice, and I'm looking at you, why the joke is a liberal will do anything, what?
A liberal is a person who won't kill you unless it means his job.
Now explain that to me.
It's
Roll the
it's the
credit.
same sort of deal as the the dowager woman sitting and watching it, you know? I mean, they see things in an isolated spot. They don't see the other stuff outside.
You'll never know.
They want a simplistic...
I tell you what, keep going. It's all
They
right.
want a simplistic kind of deal
Next week,
where...
starting on
En vi
remember
fanns
Tuesday at
inte
4:30,
mannen finner
Wednesday
en privat.
at 9 p.m.,
når ik
on
kan
Saturday
listen
at
op ich wirklich
5 p.m.
schmelzen
You'll
habe.
see Schmidt
Der
on
andere
everything.
kann es
We're going to
nur
talk about
vermuten.
Dick Pomeranz. We're going to talk about
Das ist in einer Weise
evaluation.
falsch,
How do we
in einer
evaluate
anderen
something?
unsinnig.
But whatever you do,
Wenn wir das
real,
Wort wissen gewollt,
you
wie
say
es
that, and good night,
normalerweise
Inspector Moto, wherever you are. Huh?